G'day everybody and welcome back to the Hardball Gets AFL show, proudly presented by the Mazda BT50 You Do Ute. Today we jump into 6 points ahead of round 7, but before we do, remember to like, subscribe and leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback. Alright, let's get stuck in. It is the Hardball Gets AFL show. My name's Chris Robinson, joined by Jackson Barrett and Xavier Ellis. Only 4 days away from Mad Monday, Xavier
Mad
Ellis.
Monday on, of course. Guess what day it's on?
Is it Tuesday?
It's a Monday. It's a Monday episode.
7, mate, and 7 plus. Get around it.
Yes. Thank you, Robbo. I appreciate that.
Very much looking
I didn't know
forward
the details, but that's exactly right. Looking forward to it. Of course, we'll just wrap the week of footy up. Mickey Barlow, myself, Hamish Brayshaw will pop in, and of course, Dean Marr gets to if we want to smash the umpires. Dean's there. There's a face to smash. It's great.
How are you going to go soft on Dean, or are you going to just go your hardest?
No, you whack him. Whack him, absolutely. I think he enjoys it.
How did you go with Dean when you were a player?
No, I never spoke to the umpires. Occasionally, I think, was it... who's the one that doesn't mind the limelight? Razor Ray.
Razor Ray.
I think one day I was tagging... Who was I tagging? Maybe Joel Selwood or someone, and I kept saying, Razor, he's grabbing me. He's grabbing me, Razor. Like, you know when the tag is always the prick that grabs?
Yeah.
He goes, no, he's not. Stop saying it. And I was like, fuck.
He's got me covered.
Yeah. No, I never got told. They used to do that as a joke, tell the umpires getting grabbed by the staff. That was about it.
Does like a bit of me time as well, Razor.
Yeah, Razor Ray. Yeah.
He does.
So,
I have heard that.
All good. Actually, lucky I got here safe and sound. Just went and got some tablets. As I was leaving the chemist, a guy just caught my eye. Face tattoos, skull tattoos, top knot, knuckle tattoos. And I was like, and he goes, oi. I was like, oh, shit. Uh-oh. Bigger than me, too. So I was ready to throw hands. I was ready to go. Hey, mate, where'd you get your car from? Love it. He just wanted to talk cars. I was like, you're not going to steal it, are you? Anyway, glad to be here.
That's great. Glad you got here safe and well. Jacko, how are you? Looking forward to a big weekend of footy?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, another big week. Eagles back in town. That'll be interesting. Couple of tough assignments for the boys. So
Eagles Carlton going to be very, very interesting. Zave's holding up the back page of the West Australian today, which has Jackson Barrett's little mugshot on there.
Well, you know.
What do you got? It's not bad, mate.
Needed a readership boost from somewhere.
The very popular Bush and Burbs column, started and maintained for many years by Jordan McArdle. Now taken over by Jackson Barrett, and now featuring in the West.
Just continuing the legacy, taking it to the next level in print debut today. So grab a copy of the West. I think it's page 46.
Off the top of my head.
Bit of Jared Pickett. He's popped up somewhere interesting. Few Eagles playing down south. Pat Ambrose playing a bit of Ammo's footy. I think he's
Patty
injured.
Ambrose, yeah.
Yep. Former Essendon's playing down at North Beach. Or not playing down at North Beach. He's got an injury, but so there's plenty in there today.
Lewis Jetta's still playing?
He is, yeah. C1's at High Wycombe.
Right.
Which is a pretty stacked side. His brothers and his cousins are in there, and now Jared Pickett as well. Last year it took him 9 games to win a game, and they had Lewis Jetta running off halfback.
Yeah. Well, I learnt that sometimes it doesn't matter where you played. If you're unfit, you're stuffed.
Yeah.
All right, should we get straight into the 6 points?
Yeah. Let's go.
Dave, you want to lead us off? What's your
let's start.
Little first nugget here?
James Sicily, captain of the Hawthorn Football Club. They've had a sponsorship with Tasmanian government for
21 years.
Is it 21 years? There you go. And his comments were in regards to the 19th team. Of course, the new stadium was going to be announced, which you'd think would be a 1-2 punch that after that the 19th team's going to be announced.
Sure.
So that's what the questions have been flying around that. James Sicily's comments are, there's not much happening down there. It could be difficult in regards to setting up a team. I couldn't imagine myself living there. Mm-hmm. Now, he's been absolutely smashed from pillar to post. I think their premier is Jeremy Rockcliffe. Does that sound right?
Yep.
He's jumped on Twitter, as have nearly every Tasmanian.
Matthew Wade, Tim Payne.
Have they all?
All
Yeah.
the big names, yep.
Nothing brings Tasmanians together like being spoken down to by entitled mainlanders, ignorant of our beautiful state, looking forward to doing our own talking on the footy field in our colours, singing our song. Our time has come.
Wow. Strong stuff.
I mean, I'm going to defend Sicily.
Okay.
So we bitch and moan about players who don't have an opinion. Then he's asked about the team and he's given his opinion. And he gets walloped for it. I know they're sponsors,
but he wasn't just asked about Tasman. He wasn't just asked about the place. He was asked about their major sponsor, and he's basically said, "I don't rate it." It's not ideal.
Well, not every footballer drives a Holden at Collingwood when they were Holden.
No, but we were talking about this in the office this morning. It'd be the same as if Joe Watson had come out back in the day and said, "You know what I really hate? True Value Solar. They're not good value at all."
I get it. You don't smash your sponsors, but it was asked for an opinion on a state.
Yeah.
An actual state. Like,
but this is the problem with being sponsored by a state.
That state is paying $13.5 million
what, a year?
for games there. For a 3-year deal, 13.5 to play 4 games a year. So 12 games of football. And that's separate to the shirt sponsorship.
Yeah. Look, I'm slightly trying to defend Sicily.
Yeah, but he's copped a bit of hate for it.
He's copped it. He's absolutely been smashed from pillar to post. And he came out on his own Twitter page and said, I don't disagree.
So they're back there in I think it's round 10.
Sicily's hamstring's tight.
Yeah, managed.
Is he just not? Is he just not going? And if he is
pitchforks at the airport,
genuinely, because that's not too far away, right? That's within a month.
Yeah.
What kind of reception?
No, it'd be rough. I think it'll be rough.
A few years.
But and also, when you're in the media or on a podcast or whatever, if you're asked a question, the question, the answers that usually draw the most smoke are the flippant ones you haven't thought about. Like, I've made comments in the past and been smashed for it. And I'm like, of the 50 things I said today, that was the thing I thought least about and just said something. And I give him that out too. I don't think it's something he'd clearly thought about. Quite clearly hadn't thought about it. But I don't know. I just feel, yes, Tasmania's going to be a great footy state and I'm looking forward to it. And if it's in Hobart, which is going to be beautiful, absolutely stunning part of the world.
You're obviously like a closer follower of the club than most, but I sort of get the impression that maybe as their team gets closer, Tassie's a little bit off Hawthorn. Like the crowds are down.
I'm 100% the connection's nowhere near as strong as it was.
So I watched Freo there. It must have been 2017. Freo got absolutely belted, and it was like fans at the airport, posters through the city, Hawthorn scarves everywhere, and now it just feels like half empty.
Wind it back to 2014.
Yeah.
It was, you couldn't get a ticket there. It was fantastic. But I just think
about the extra draw cards you had back then, though.
No, I get
with
it.
Bud and Cyril and
but if they want the footy so badly, the Hawthorn games, the 4 a year at $13.5 million, you'd still think that it's only a small-ish stadium. That I sometimes look at the crowds and go, oh, geez, that surprised me. But I think Hobart is spectacular, and I think it's going to be perfect.
And this Macquarie Point's going to be...
It's going to be outstanding. I think that maybe Sicily may have just been talking about Lonnie in and out 24 hours.
Yeah.
The crowds are down. Maybe that's it. And Hawthorn are battling too. So
and
it's a whole collection.
He said in his statement last night that he was referencing his own personal circumstance. And he's like a Melbourne boy or a Victorian boy. So he's always lived in Melbourne. But like
I think the statement just found every angle to just try and I'm joining the priesthood in Melbourne. Like just leave me alone. But I don't So I just think we need to take a chill on that. And Tassie's going to get their team, and we're passionate over here in WA. If someone said, I'm not going back to WA, it's a shithole, we'd be like on the Twitter and giving it to him and whatnot. So I get it. I just don't think it's as big as what it's on. Every single Twitter page I'm clicking on has quoted that Fox Footy thing that was up there, and away they go. And I just thought, reckon it's just maybe a bit of a slower news day. But good luck to Tassie and their 19th team. I'll buy a membership.
I wanted to look at 5-day breaks in between games because this is something we don't usually get a lot of, and this weekend, mostly through necessity, we have 4 teams that have them. So obviously Essendon and Collingwood have to have a 5-day break off the Tuesday game, but then Melbourne's got one as well from the Monday to the Saturday, and there's a sneaky one for St Kilda as well. So St Kilda go from playing on a Sunday to Friday night footy. The Collingwood-Adelaide one interests me probably the most. We think Collingwood's probably the flag favourites. They have to have the 5-day break plus travel. They go to Adelaide.
I'm not shedding a tear for Collingwood's travel plans too often.
I just think Collingwood should play all of their games in Melbourne. And the Crows traditionally, this season, have been running out games really well. They've lost just one second half this year. So in terms of 6-day break, I don't really get too excited by. 5-day break for a footy player, Zave, is that significant
Well, I don't think we
considering
ever
the
did it.
workload these days?
But you're right. The 5 days, 6 days, I never.
Yeah.
I used to personally love 6-day breaks. It meant less meetings because you still had to have you still had to have your compulsory day off.
Yeah.
And you still had to have your half day off.
Yep.
Virtually, and you didn't have to, but it was like just how the schedules usually fell. So the week, by the time you got in there on a Monday, did your reviews, your recovery, half day Tuesday, Wednesday off,
Yep.
full day Thursday, the week is over like that, and you've done your pre-season for 3 or 4 months. You've done all the training. You just want to play games. So the 6 days is nothing. The 5 days, I think it's okay in the fact that they're as fit as they are. It's early in the season. You're not really training. People sometimes think, I think training is, well, closed doors training session, gee whiz, they're going to be recreating AFL football behind those closed walls. And none of that ever happens. There might be a kick-in drill that they're trying to defend because, they tend to go this way and that way. And you practice a few things like that. But training tends to really just be nothing. Like, it's not... So if you miss a training session, I can see it being fine. 5 days, you're usually fresh enough to play, but I've never done it. So 6 is definitely fine.
Yep.
5 is interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in those the last quarters or the starter games. I reckon the starter games as well, when you're still stretching the back out and, you're still questioning how sore you are the day before the game, because it is a little bit of a magic dust comes over you. Like, if you are sore, but you run out and you go, I think I'm okay now, because the crowd's there, the juices are flowing. But it'll be interesting to see how they start and how they certainly finish.
Yeah, I mean, even someone like Pendlebury was banged up, obviously, at the end of that game.
His
on
eye looked pretty
Tuesday.
serious.
Yeah.
How's he going to go off a 5-day break?
I'd be surprised to see him, I reckon.
You reckon
Okay.
they just rest him?
Okay.
Well, it's a perfect 5-day break. He has an injury, travel.
Just sits one out.
Collingwood aren't scrapping for wins at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if the 35-year-old was just told have a chill for a weekend.
I could say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough stretch to do it in as well, because the first 3 quarters of that Essendon game were pretty quick, and then the last one was like pretty contested. So
Yeah.
they would have been, as you say, pretty banged up. And then Adelaide are going to make you run as well.
Yeah, totally.
Adelaide,
Good chance for
exciting
Adelaide,
team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exciting team to watch.
Really good chance.
Yeah, I want to talk a bit more about Harry Himmelberg. So he's sort of out of the blue now, the hottest free agent, him and Darcy Parish.
Out of the blue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was thrown back last year, looked really good, but little bit sort of just floated along, and then suddenly, he's a free agent, he's playing decent footy. And one, I want to know what you're paying him. He's 26 years old. And what are you paying him to do? Is he a defender? Because if you look at the clubs that are reportedly sort of leading the race, it's Sydney, where he's probably a defender. It's Richmond, he's definitely a defender. And it's Brisbane, he's definitely a defender. So...
Yeah, Hipwood down.
Him and Jack Payne is really... Oh, Harris Andrews, of course. But so
Harris Andrews has dropped off a bit, hasn't he?
He has.
From 3 years ago when he was... Clearly, I thought the best defender in the comp.
So it feels like he's now in the market as a defender. And with that in mind... How do you decide what you pay him off the back of 12 games down back last year? Well,
there's some outrageous contracts. I nearly choked on my tongue when I heard Hopper had 7 years.
Yeah.
I was like, 7 years? Back in the day, you had to fight your ass out for 3. If you got 4, you were the Brownlow medalist.
Yeah.
7 years. So I think, again, you're probably going to see, what is he, 26? It's a minimum 5-year contract, you would think. As you said, he's out of the blue. I wouldn't have him on my radar, but he's 26. I think it's a 700.
Yeah.
I think it's probably 700 over 5 years, which I wouldn't be paying that money. But
so that's what you'd have to pay to get him out.
Yeah.
What do you think he's actually worth?
5.
Yeah, something 5-y. Yeah. I was going to say he obviously wouldn't have liked to have seen Sam Taylor go down, but that is going to add extra to his contract now,
so
because
especially
we're going to see
if he goes back.
Yeah, we're going to see exactly what else he can do.
I've got that written here, especially if they've had those sort of preliminary discussions that we talk about, where they might realise that he's heavily leaning towards going out the door. You're sending him back to fatten up the cow, aren't you now?
Well, also you are, but then in back of the Giants' mind, they thought they had a bulletproof full back who just turned up and played. Now he's torn a high is it tendon?
Oh, I'm
I
not
think
sure.
it nearly was, yeah. A serious injury. Oh, shit, maybe Sam Taylor's not bulletproof.
Yeah.
So it might actually fatten up his bank account with the Giants offer as well, around some security around Sam Taylor. But, yeah, I wouldn't be diving.
Where do you
in
reckon he's
sevens.
best suited of those clubs? Are there any of those clubs where you
I
go,
don't
that'd be a
think-
really good fit?
Do you think in any of I'll ask you, do you think in any of the top 5 or 6 clubs he's a top 10 player in any of those teams?
Not a top 10 player.
Yeah.
But he would be on the payroll.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the balance of these free agents.
Yeah.
I just need to get this off my chest. There's one thing in footy that's really, really pissing me off. Actually, there's 2 things. I'll start with one.
There's probably more than that, but yeah.
No, 2 right now. That's it. The first one is the concussion stuff, which is so sensitive at the moment. But I would say you can still get a cut. You know, when you see someone with a cut, they're like, concussion.
Like Pendlebury.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not concussion. That's a cut. Like,
Yeah.
you fix that up. So when they come back on, just mates and stuff you're with at the pub going, oh, geez, I'm surprised he's back on. You go, how do you know? It's just a cut. Like, relax. Anyway, that's one bugbear. The second one is snaps. I've had an absolute gutful of all these snaps now, and we give people a free ride when they belly the shit out of the football. Imagine kicking a drop punt like that, the criticism that you'd get from the commentators and stuff. These players that don't know how to snap are bellying the football left, right and centre, and we're like, oh, he's snapping it from this one on his left. You're like, no, he's made an absolute meal of it, and get after him. I've had a gutful of it.
Are you going to name names?
Harry Mackay's one, and I think I saw him kick that drop punt. I mentioned it on Monday's podcast.
And flushed it. Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
flushed it. And
Yeah.
I was like, there's something to work with there. Trying to kick bananas from 45 is not something to work with because there's such a small error of, like the sweet spot. I just reckon that these players, we're giving them outs for these snaps that they're doing. And I know the stats say that they're more likely, but they're also now snapping them from the top of the goal square. So the figures are getting, the percentages are going up and up and up because we're seeing them 5 minutes out directly in front snapping. But I don't know. I'd love to see some of those key forwards. Like Darcy Fogarty is a standalone, and Taylor Walker's pretty similar, a standalone out there where they just go, just practice my drop punt.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get better at that. And I'm not worried about trying to kick a banana snap from 60, 50, 40, whatever the bloody hell they're trying to do.
But it strikes me that a lot of players, this might not be the case, but this is how it strikes me watching it, is a lot of players don't know what they're about to do, or they don't have a set plan for what they're about to do, depending on where they are on the ground. They'll take a mark or they'll get a free kick, and then they'll decide on the spot, oh, should I snap this? Should I? Whereas you would think it would make a lot more sense to know exactly where you are on the ground, and if you're in a certain spot, if you're past a certain angle, right, I know for sure I'm snapping this or I'm drop punting this.
Yeah.
I often compare it to golf, and I know it's obviously a completely different game. You're fatigued, all the rest of it. But you watch a golfer line up a putt, there's always a routine. There's always a sense of certainty and sureness as to what they're going to do. Whereas you see a lot of guys who go back, there's eyes darting, their hands are moving all over the football. You can tell, oh, geez, I'm kicking a drop bunt here, but maybe I should have snapped around the corner.
Yeah.
There's that lack of certainty, and if you have that, surely you're fighting with one hand behind your back before you've even kicked the football.
It's the only closed skill in the game. The only one where it's like
everything shuts down.
Dictate,
it's a free throw.
Dictate everything, and golf is like that as well. How real is the whole like you'd rather kick one from 55 where you can kick through it as opposed to like the dabs from 30? And if you can compare that to NBA, like there are guys that are better from beyond the arc than the little mid-range jumper.
There's no more comfortable feeling than a 45-metre drop punt, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The drop punt from 13 or 14 out with a slight angle, knowing you have a little bit of a left to right, so that closes the face of the goal a little bit more. I mean, they're nerve-wracking, but you just got to just kick the goal. Just kick the goal.
But the maths and the science of that suggests that is ridiculous.
Yeah. Even like
by the pure numbers.
The snap on the opposite foot, like where the player's lined up, and you're like, I don't think he's practiced this ever in his life.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
You can see it.
And it goes straight up in the air, and you're like, I would rather you just try and kick a drop punt.
And then you look at like that Nick Dacos, the first of his goals, where he's on the run, and the way he's been able to like reposition the ball in his hands as he's running after he's received it. It's just like mind-blowing.
Hawthorn were brilliant at kicking, and drills that we practice, you dribble kick it to yourself over 20 metres, and how you picked it up in your hand, so it might be twisted, upside down.
Yeah.
You had to still manage to kick it back to your teammate on the like you were kicking a drop punt, but they weren't drop punts. But that's just how you had to practice to be able to get it going straight, regardless of how it spun. And most people would say that's how mine went when I tried to kick a drop punt. But yeah, it's a skill, and I just reckon keep an eye on these bloody snaps. Thank you.
I like the thank you at the end.
Yeah,
Thank you for
on
listening to
high
my
alert.
TED Talk. All right, trivia time. There's 3 players in the
love
AFL
Yeah.
who have, this season, had at least 4 games where they've had 15 touches and multiple goals in the same game. 3 players who have done 15 and 2
Is that all?
4 times. Only 3.
Nick Dacos is one.
Nick Dacos is not one.
Really? He's kicked multiple goals 3 times.
wow.
I wrote it yesterday.
Yeah, I'm talking 4 times.
4 times.
4.
Okay. Yep. No.
I'm going
he's
to
only
go.
three.
Then. Yep.
Can I
It's
go?
definitely 3.
Can I throw one in?
Yeah, please do.
An Adelaide player?
You can. It's not
Tex
going to be
Walker.
right, but you can. No, not Tex.
Shit.
There's one guy who's done it in every single game, 15 and 2.
Jezza.
Jezza is
Oh,
correct.
yeah, of
Jeremy
course.
Cameron.
Michael Walters isn't one of them.
Michael Walters isn't one of them.
A Brisbane player?
No. There's a serial contender at GWS who you'll get.
Toby.
Toby. The third one is the one that interests me.
All right.
4 games of 15 and 2.
15 and 2, so...
That's a real Bont stat, but he hasn't spent quite as
No,
much time
not Bont.
forward.
Are we thinking, should we be channeling our thoughts towards the midfield?
Should be... No, you shouldn't.
No. Okay.
Well, a little bit, but
But yeah,
more
more.
forward. I think improved both players
Rochelle.
and clubs. Rochelle's a good guess. It's
I've
not
already
him.
asked if he was Adelaide, so that was a shit guess, actually.
Kyle Langford.
Kyle Langford is not the answer I'm looking for.
Okay, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
You're on the right
Improved-
track with
improved
improved
clubs,
club
yeah.
and improved player.
Okay, improve. So let's head to St Kilda and let's go to Owens.
Correct answer.
Yeah.
Mitch Owens
Good
is the third of 3 guys alongside Jeremy Cameron and Toby Green who have the 4 games of 15 and 2. More impressively than that, and this is a nod to our friends at Champion Data, he's the best contested ball winner outside of stoppage in the entire AFL. So
Wow.
take away the guys who
Yeah.
go to stoppage or in terms of just purely contest from non-stoppage play, he's ranked 1 in the entire AFL.
So he's bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah,
He's
me too.
191
Yeah.
centimetres.
No, see, I still
Yeah.
thought he was smaller than I thought he was. Because
Okay.
not knowing, because when they were saying St Kilda have lost
I
King,
think he plays smaller than 191. doesn't
yeah,
he
I
does,
don't know.
but I think he's classified as a key forward
Yeah.
under
Yeah.
the Champion Data kind
Yeah.
of stat.
See, he plays smaller, but then he also takes marks and stuff, and you're like, oh, that's a big boy move, that one.
he? Yeah.
He's real. So
Is
they
that-
so they play Friday night footy this week. So this is going to
Yeah,
give
it's gonna
a
be awesome.
lot of casual observers
Yeah.
their first real chance to look at him, right?
Yeah.
Because
I hope he plays well. I do. I hope he plays well.
Yeah, I think he will.
And the other one, and I know you said that stat then, when I first started to look at him maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, he was ranked the number 2 ranked forward in the competition, behind the bloke where we're arguing whether he'll kick 100 goals or not,
Yeah.
behind Cameron.
Yeah.
It was crazy. My little brother, he texted me, and credit to him, he's a dickhead, but
But credit to him.
he gets on.
carries it well.
He gets on like trends like
Yeah.
early, and he's a smart ass. So then he'll go back into his phone text log
Oh,
to
a little
me,
bump.
and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
send it back.
We've
into
all
my
got
chat.
mates like that in the group chat.
and you're like, right.
I might be the one in
I
our group
think
chat.
I'm that mate.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
But then my greatest fear is like, what was my response to that call?
Yeah,
like,
and what was it?
no, they're pretty simple. Like, I'll keep an eye on stuff. But sometimes, like, he's hopeless, mate. Shut up shop on this one.
Yeah.
You're wrong. How many games of footy did you play? You know, just real smart ass
Sure.
stuff. And then it comes back in the chat. I'm like, oh my God, I could not have been more wrong about that player. So there you go. Shout out to
Port Adelaide as well Friday night. Alira goes to one of the big boys. I'm not sure really. That's a defense that's sort of like a little bit all over the shop at the moment. It could be
Yeah.
exposed a
Yeah,
little bit.
I think he could really shine.
I want to have a look at a couple of clubs that are struggling. One of them's Carlton and one of them's Fremantle, and ask who would you rather be right now? So Carlton missed the 8 last year. Now they're 8th, 3 and 2 with a draw. Freo 13th, 2 and 4, obviously. But Carlton are the 8th oldest team in the competition, which is obviously, and that's whole list. Obviously, you guys did from round 6 last week, but that's a little bit damning, sort of for where they're at. The other stat that jumped out at me today is Charlie Curnow's kicked a third of their goals this season.
See, it's not a damning age if they were 5 and 1.
Yeah, it's not.
If
But
they-
it's
if
like,
they-
where are they
Yeah,
at?
if they were 5 and 1, you'd go, oh, they're in their sweet spot.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're playing a similar brand of footy, both of those footy clubs.
Lost.
Just going backwards and sideways, like
Yeah.
just kick it 1-on-1. And worst case, especially Carlton. I was big on Carlton. I think any club that has 2 Coleman medalists, a Brownlow medalist, Sam Walsh, I think will probably win a Brownlow at some stage if he has a good run at it. Doherty, we're big fans of. Wiedering, arguably the best fullback in the comp.
Yeah.
Sard All-Australian last year.
And then the depth midfielders,
And then
Kennedy and
Shearer,
Hewitt and stuff.
Kennedy,
Yeah.
Hewitt. But they don't give those players a chance to win a one-on-one by going sideways and back. How many people are going to be if McKay's in a ruck in a contest down the line, and the ball comes to ground, and Paddy Cripps is at the base of it? How many are beating Paddy Cripps at that one-on-one? At a minimum, you're going to get a stoppage. You'd think more times than not. They just don't give those players that opportunity. Just take the 60 metres available and get a stoppage there because your midfielders are good players. They're very good players, but these overinflated numbers that they're getting, I would be folding up the paper and just putting it in the bin. Like, they mean nothing. I'd love to have 36 touches.
So
but
is it six leading ball winners?
Did you see their heat graph?
Yes.
Yeah.
What the dickens?
Abysmal. Yeah.
My phone caught fire in the back half. It literally needed a new phone now. That's how dark it was in that back half. Send that to Carlton.
I think there's much more pressure on Michael Voss that's coming, isn't there?
Well,
because as you say, he has the pieces
Yeah.
here. On paper, this is a collective that should work. It should have worked last year, and they should have made finals. They close out one of those last
What
three
were they at
games.
the start of the year? First 9, they were going.
Yeah, they killed
flying,
it. But they
flying.
literally needed to win one of their last 3 games, and they lost all of them
Yeah,
by a kick or two.
Slight little out. They did lose quite a few players at the back end of the year.
They did, yeah.
And
yeah.
I'll give them a slight little out there.
But if they fall short 2 years in a row
Yeah, I agree.
of finals
Yeah.
with this squad, that's real heat time for the coach. It
So
has to.
given, and we've spoken about this, like given where Fremantle were at and what we think their ceiling is there more pressure on J-Lo or on Voss?
I think it's Voss.
Voss, I think we said at the start of the year, Voss has got the most pressure on him. Hinkley.
Yeah.
But Voss is not
And
far
Jew.
behind. Jew hasn't got the cattle. So
Yeah.
whether they re-sign or don't re-sign, man, there is cattle at Carlton. Like you said, who would you rather, Fremantle or Carlton? If you're in the schoolyard going pick for pick, first 10 picks, would maybe 7 of them be Carlton players?
Yeah, 7 or even 8, yeah.
Yep.
There would be. Like, the cattle's there. I just find it really hard to believe they play that way. And even Harry getting 15 marks, do you want his marks up the ground? Like, you get him in the one-on-ones.
Yeah.
I'd rather...
I mean, one of them's
But I'm
got
just
to be
worried
up the
about his
ground, though,
finishing.
don't
Well, I think Charlie's the man that... But also, but rotate it. But when he's out in the wing and you go, he's taking another mark on the wing, it's because the ball's gone backwards. Everyone's getting the footy for Carlton. You're bound to take marks.
So 2 Coleman medalists and they're averaging just a tick over 75 points per game.
I think they've kicked over 100 points once in the last 25 games or something.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
No, I'm still a believer in Carlton, but something needs to change. I think Harry's a star and on the verge of a big month.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie can't do much more. Would you say he kicked how much? What percentage?
A third.
I think he can still keep kicking that, but I think their score needs to get to 90.
Yeah.
Do you agree with us? Do you think Carlton's...
Yes,
you'd
Carlton.
slightly rather be Carlton?
Yep.
Yep. Cool. Let's get into some hardball bets.
Hardball bets. Thanks to the Tab Touch app.
Brought to you, of course, by Tab Touch. Got the touch this AFL season? Bet your bet with Tab Touch. Gamble responsibly. Call Gamblers Help on 1-800-858-858. Let's not talk about our bets from last week. Just start fresh, Jacko. What you
Missed
got
again.
for me? Let's just not even go there last week. What do you got?
This one's a winner. So 4 legs. Brisbane to win and Charlie to kick 3 or more. Mm-hmm. Melbourne to win and JVR to kick 2 or more.
Ooh,
Dogs to win.
Back-to-back big games. Yep, okay.
Dogs to win. I think just the shackles are off for the kid now. Carlton to win by 40 or more.
Okay. What's it paying?
It is paying $12 and a bit.
Oh, jeez. Going big.
I like
fun,
it.
eh?
Going big before Nick Rin's
Yep.
return last week, just trying to hand over the keys. I'm taking something that's paying $3.30, so Brisbane will beat Freo, and then a same gamer in the Tigers Gold Coast game. So it's Tigers to win, Jaden Short getting 20, and Braden Fiorini getting 20, who I think will probably step into a bit of a Touk Miller void and just rack some up for
Interesting
fun.
fantasy watch Fiorini.
Very
so
interesting.
People
Very
jumping
intriguing
on.
player this week. Yeah, what does Selby think
highlighted-
about him?
Yeah, highlighted him. I disagreed with him, and then by the time we'd finished, I agreed with him.
I'm not sure I've got the risk appetite for it yet.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So
Selby said
Moreira's magic was,
someone
don't go there?
He said someone like me would go there,
Okay.
who's an idiot and
So don't go there.
likes risk. But he sees the appeal in it.
Yep.
That's okay. Let's just hope you can get 20 plus for my sake. Jacko, Dave, thanks very much for your time as
Thanks,
always,
Robbo.
guys. Thanks to our listeners, and thanks also to the Mazda BT50. You do ute. Enjoy your weekend of footy. We'll chat to you next week.